Hi guys, welcome along to AFTV. As you can see, it's me, Kenya, and Ella. Big up, Ella. How are you?
Thanks, girl. Yeah, good. Thanks. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Well, I would be doing better considering
Yeah, I was gonna
if
say.
one of my
I was gonna
players
say.
wasn't robbed yesterday. So, guys, as you know already, the Ballon d'Or was unveiled yesterday. First of all, congratulations to everyone that won an award there. Arsenal women won an award for best club, which I think is thoroughly deserved considering our Champions League run with Renee Slagers, who came in very early in the season, her first ever managerial job, wins the Champions League from the first qualifying round, which has never been done before in Women's Champions League history. So we've got to big up the team, also big up Victor Gyökeres. He won the Gerd Müller Trophy, which is essentially the best striker for all of the goals that he scored at Sporting. But we get along to the main event, the
Let's
Ballon
get down
d'Or.
to the nitty
Yeah,
gritty.
we get along to the main event, which is the Ballon d'Or, which is what everyone wants to see, who wins it. Um, and as Arsenal fans, we had four women's players that were in that top 10 that could have won it, being Alessia Russo, Mariona Caldente, Chloe Kelly, and Leah Williamson, all of which, other than Mariona, won the Champions League and the Euros. And I don't know if Ella agrees with me, but I'm thinking, right, one of our players should be walking home with this
You know
award.
I do. You know I do.
Little do we know, Aitana Bonmati of Barcelona, who has actually won the Ballon d'Or twice before, wins it in a very controversial way. I mean, Ella, do you want to tell us what you thought when you first saw it?
I was genuinely quite confused, and I don't know whether it was naive to think that it was gonna go another way. But Matty is like she's a legend of the game.
Yeah,
She's a superstar. She's world class. We can't take that away. But I think in this the last season, what ended up playing out and how we won the Champions League against all odds, and then the women going on to win back-to-back Euros, and the Lionesses just taking it by storm. It just feels that it does feel like a bit of a robbery. You feel that those girls will feel hard done by, particularly Alessia Russo, um, who was such an important part of both of those wins. You know, she scored some really important goals in the Champions League in big games, in the game, the Bayern Munich win, the Real Madrid at home,
yeah,
Lyon away.
yeah.
So, she's turned up in big moments, and I was really gutted and, to be quite honest, disappointed that one of the Arsenal girls didn't end up getting it. To be honest, I'm just quite surprised that Alessia Russo wasn't even in the top
Yeah,
two.
yeah. No,
Like, how?
I completely agree. I think we're talking about, as you said, Aitana Bonmati is a legend of the game. I think what she's doing for women's football, you can't discount whatsoever. What she's doing at Barcelona, incredible. But the reality is, she wasn't even the best Barcelona player last season. I actually think Alexia Putellas was actually incredible last season for Barcelona. And you look at the likes of Vicky Lopez, who won the Young Copper Award. You look at Iwa Pajor, who was their top goal scorer and top goal scorer in the Champions League. I'm looking at Aitana's performances like incredible, but was she better than Mariona? No. Was she better than Alessia? No. And I'm thinking, like, for me personally, I know a lot of people are upset that Mariona didn't win the Ballon d'Or. I think for me, Mariona was a favorite to win it up until the Euros. Unfortunately, she lost the Euros with Spain. But then you think about it, she
Yeah.
scored in a final. She scored in that final to take Spain forward, essentially, to make them win 1-0. And then obviously Alessia Russo scores to make it 1-1. Those are two Arsenal players. And I just think for me personally, I'm more looking at Alessia Russo, right? We're thinking about someone who's with Arsenal joined in the first round of the Champions League. We had to play Juventus, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Lyon, Barcelona in the final. It doesn't get any harder than that. We're talking about someone
Yeah.
that turned it around against Real Madrid, turned it around against Lyon, scores against Bayern. We're talking about someone that literally dragged us through to basically that final. We're also talking about someone top goal scorer in the WSL, incredible campaign. Like she's put in the Champions League team of the year, in the Euros, so many good clutch goals to take us through in that game. scores in the final. What more does one have to do to win a Ballon d'Or? Honestly, like that is the most Ballon d'Or winning campaign ever. And I just think as well, if we look back to last season, right, we had a lot of controversy with the men's Ballon d'Or, and Rodri won the Ballon d'Or by only winning the league and winning the Euros. And the whole reason around that was, well, winning the Euros is more prestigious than winning the Champions League. This girl's won both. She's won the
Yeah.
Champions League. She's won the Euros. She scored in a final. What more does one have to do to win a Ballon d'Or? Honestly,
It is very unusual that you see the Ballon d'Or winner who's not on the side that won the Champions League. So that's why I just felt like this was going to be the year. And listen, Barcelona are a top team,
yeah,
and they won the domestic treble last season. That's great. But, let's be real for a second. Their league is not a
it's a farmers league.
hugely competitive league. There are a couple of teams, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid are also good sides, but Barca are the best team in that league by a country mile. They've won 10 league titles. The second team with the most has won
Yeah,
half. So they've dominated that league since it started,
yeah,
essentially. So, Arsenal, who are in, one of, if not probably the most competitive
yeah.
women's leagues in the world, having, we didn't win the league. I get that. But we're second in that. We put on a really good performance in the league. Renee, when she came in, she did an incredible job, turned the season around, and then we have an unbelievable Champions League run and end up winning the Champions League. The Euros is almost just like the icing on the cake for
Yeah,
me. I still think that there would have been, such a strong campaign for one of the Arsenal girls to win it, even if the Euros was not a factor.
yeah,
So, the fact that they won the Euros as well, the English girls, and still Alessia Russo couldn't get in the top two. Kenya, my mind is genuinely boggled. I was so annoyed last night, and it just seems like this was going to be the year. And who's to say that Alessia Russo is going to have another season like this, another opportunity?
exactly. And I just think what is more confusing to me is that Arsenal women were awarded Club of the Year. So they looked at that and said, right, this club winning the Champions League from the first round is more a bit, it's a bigger and more credible achievement than Chelsea's invincible treble and Barcelona's invincible treble. That's what they said. So by that merit, how can someone win the Ballon d'Or when they haven't even done the greatest achievement by winning the Champions League? We also need to remember that Joan Laporte, who is like the director of Barcelona, he came out before that final saying Arsenal have no chance of winning this. We are going to pick up our
Yeah.
trophy. Was very arrogant. And as history shows, Arsenal turned up. Stina Blackstenius goes on and wins it. We weren't even favourites to win that. As I said already, we had to play Lyon. Essentially, for anyone that doesn't watch women's football, that is the Real Madrid of women's football. A team that's won the Champions League probably about 10 times. I think they did it 6 times back to back. Do you know what I mean? We had to beat them. We had to beat Real Madrid, who would come into the Emirates with a 2-0 lead. We had to beat Bayern Munich after losing to them. We had to beat Juventus, a really hard team. We had to beat Barcelona in the final. Like, what more does one actually have to do? And I just think you can't award a club with the greatest achievement and then snub everyone in that club by not giving at least one of them a Ballon d'Or. That's just how I see it.
You're absolutely right. I didn't even pick up on the club of the year and how, how can you then be given that recognition and then not one of the girls from that team not picking up the Ballon d'Or. And
Yeah.
it's really weird because watching this all play out last night, it just makes me feel that the Women's Champions League is not put on the same pedestal as the men's, because I look at me and everyone else that watches men's football, you think of the Champions League, you think that's the creme de la creme.
Yeah.
That's the trophy that's the best trophy in club competition football, right? Everyone wants to win the Champions League. I don't think I've even clocked how ridiculous it is that we've just witnessed Arsenal women winning the Champions League. That is the biggest trophy. And I don't think they're
Yeah.
realizing what we've actually just gone and done last season. It's the top of the top. They've just gone and done that.
Yeah.
Against all odds, no one fancied Arsenal to win it, particularly at the start of the season when we looked so shaky. And then Renee comes in, takes over, and we win the competition. I just feel like people aren't realizing how ridiculous that is.
Yeah. And let's talk about the Euros as well, because again, we need to remember that Spain are world champions. They beat England in that World Cup final, right? I think they just won the Nations League as well. So they're on an absolute high. They go into this tournament as favourites. We already know that England women, they didn't really have the same Euros that they did when it was in London, when it was in the UK, right? It wasn't the same blistering football. We weren't smacking teams, the 5-0s and whatever. We were actually kind of struggling in a lot of games, but we showed a lot of character to win those games and get forward, to beat Sweden, who were really good, to beat Norway, all these teams, right? We make it to a final. We go 1-0 down. We get it back to 1-1. We score our penalties when, considering we actually had penalty shootouts where you could say we were quite fortunate. And I think to go against all those odds, to face essentially the best women's national team in the world, where they are favourites, and to beat them, like, what more does one have to, like, I just see it as Alessia Russo faced Aitana Bonmati twice and beat her both times convincingly. And in one of those games, she scored in it. And I just think, what even bothered me as well, when they were giving her the award, they literally showed all the highlights of the champ, all of her showed highlights of her
Yeah.
losing to Alessia Russo and Mariona Caldente in the Champions League final and in the Euros. So it just makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You do definitely need to look in the manner in which it's been done, because
Yeah,
the Euros was really tough, and there were moments in the competition where I was like, I'm not sure England are going to be able to get this over the line. The manner in which, we kept on scoring last minute goals, we just found a way. I think a very similar thing can be said to some of our Champions League run, where
yeah,
we went down, we looked like we could be going out, but we just found a way and we got through and we showed the resilience. And the criteria for this Ballon d'Or trophy, only 1 out of 3 of the categories is about individual
yeah,
performance. And I think when you look at individual performance, Bon Mati, she's incredible,
yeah,
incredible. She got player of the tournament for the Euros, and she got the best player in the Champions League. So of course, she's one of the best, without a doubt. But then you also then look at the team performances, which, yes, she also won with Barcelona, but the same can be said for Alessia. And so I understand that maybe there wasn't a lot in it.
yeah,
I just feel like we've seen the backlash that
yeah,
this has caused. And so, this isn't a unique opinion that we're having.
yeah,
People agree and feel that there was a robbery. And I just think it's an incredible achievement that she's won 3 in a row, and not many people can say that. I'm pretty sure it's Messi and one other.
yeah.
Um, but listen, I'm absolutely gutted for Russo, I'll be
Yeah, and
honest.
I just want to also talk about Mariana Caldente, because obviously she made it in the top two. To be honest, I was quite surprised. I thought maybe she'd place third and Alessia would be second, but we can't
Yeah,
discount the season she's had. To leave Barcelona, where she won the quadruple with them, she went invincible with them as well. To leave them to join a brand new league, which is much more competitive, to be named PFA Player of the Year in your first season, to become such a big and important player for Arsenal, to win the Champions League with them, to score in a Euros final, and to be that impressive. I mean, why was she also not seen as a more of a favourite than Bonmati? Like, we also need to really put some respect on the performances that Mariana Caldente. We're talking about Lyon away. That goal she scored, incredible. Like, I can't think of many other players that have the guts to just wrap it like that in a game of such importance. Like, she's carried us in so many games. And I generally felt really sorry for her, if I'm being honest. Like, I just think, what more do these, like, I'm looking at Mariona, I'm looking at Alessia, even someone like Leah Williamson, who's a dark horse. We need to remember Leah Williamson tore her ACL. She didn't go to the World Cup. She missed out on that. To recover from that, to have such an incredible season for Arsenal, right? In which I thought in the Champions League final, she was our best player. The way she defended
agreed.
that day, I've never seen Leah defend with so much vigor and just so much passion. To go to the Euros off the back of the ACL, you're missing Millie Bright, your centre back partner. No complaints. You go through in each game, you're a leader, and you take us to back Euros. Why is that not seen as a bigger achievement? And it makes you really question the credibility of these awards that are supposed to be given to the best player. You start to think, Well, if you can win a Champions League and the Euros, which is literally the two biggest trophies that those women could have won this season, we're talking about European players especially, then if you win that and you can't win the Ballon d'Or, what must else you do? Genuinely.
Yeah, you're right to single out Mariona and Leah as well, because Mariona has just been the gift that keeps on giving at Arsenal. Like, I'm so happy. I don't even know how we've managed to sign her because she's just that
Incredible.
elite. I'm so surprised Barcelona were just so willing to let her go.
Yeah.
But she is a top player, and it was funny because when I was watching the ceremony last night, when I saw that Iniesta was the person that was giving the award, because he's the person I always say that's like the male equivalent player of Mariona.
Yeah.
Mariona is like Iniesta.
Yeah.
She is just that tiki-taka, creative midfield. She is such an incredible player. I would have been so happy for her if she
Yeah.
would have won it as well. Either her or Alessia, I think, are incredibly deserving. You know, Mariona has had some unbelievable individual performances as well. So, you know, and you're right. What is really separating Mariona's achievements from Bonmati?
Yeah. I
One won the Champions League, one did not.
Yeah. I just think, if we look at as well when Bonmati won it last year, which she was deserving, I think she was very deserving. It was also the fact that, wow, she won the Champions League. Incredible. And that Champions League took her to the higher level than everybody else. And, I think even when Alexia Putellas won it, obviously Beth Mead finished second. Beth Mead, who had an incredible Euros, it was like, well, Putellas has won the Champions League, so that kind of trumps it. Like, I just think if you can win the two highest and most prestigious trophies that season at a national level and at a domestic level, to me, you should be at least in the top two winning it, if we're being honest. But we have to also, as an Arsenal fan, I'm very proud of the team. We had Steph Catley, Emily
Completely.
Fox as well, who were nominated. Renee was nominated for Manager of the Year. Obviously, we won Club of the Year, and you can't forget Chloe Kelly, Leah, Mariona, Alessia. What they've done this season for Arsenal makes them legends, absolutely. And we are all so proud of them, and I think it's very telling that we can sit here and argue their case as to why they should have won it. But yeah, it's just, I think they should feel proud, and knowing them, they will use this as ammo to carry on next season for sure.
Yeah, just, despite the Ballon d'Or and one of the girls not being able to pick it up, I feel like this is a huge moment for Arsenal Football Club. Like you said at the beginning, having 4 in the top 10 just shows how we're dominating in world football. And Arsenal are, I think, at the beginning of a very special journey under Renee. I feel like we need to say again that was her. That wasn't even her first full season.
Yeah.
She took over like early on, but Renee is gonna do special things at this club, and we have a really bright future. So I think I second everything you said, and very proud to support this club and the girls who are making strides in the game.
Yeah. But guys, obviously, we just want to congratulate everyone who won an award yesterday, no matter what our feelings are. Obviously, these are all top players. We want to celebrate our women's team. As Renee Slager said, invest in women's sports is so important. It benefits so many people. Ella, big yourself up. Guys, make sure to follow
Likewise.
Ella. Make sure you to drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and follow AFTV. We'll be back with more content. We're starting a brand new show called She Wore Red, all about the women's game,
Come on.
specifically about Arsenal women. So make sure you tune in there. Big up Ella, big up you guys, and we're out.
GFN Soccer TV, with all your favourite shows in one place, is now live in the UK with Samsung TV Plus.